and welcome to today's European SharePoint Office 365 and Azure Community webinar. My name is Orla and I'm delighted to be joined by Joel from MindManager, who will be talking to you today about improved collaboration on Microsoft Teams with MindManager. Remember to join in the conversation about today's webinar on Twitter. Our Twitter handle is @EuropeanSP and our hashtag is ESPC22. Don't forget to check out the Resource Centre. This is updated daily with the latest blogs, ebooks, webinars, and how-to videos. Simply visit sharepointeurope.com and click the content link at the top. Microsoft Teams Week is kindly sponsored by MindManager. MindManager provides visual productivity tools and mind mapping software that take you and your organization to where you want to be. Find out more at mindmanager.com. Continue your Teams learning by joining us for our next webinar. Create a simple Teams creation workflow using Power Automate with Nikki Chappell. That is later today at 4 p.m. CEST. Find out more at sharepointeurope.com, your guide to Microsoft Teams. Our ESPC22 early bird sale is now on. Save €200 and 3- and 4-day tickets. Find out more at sharepointeurope.com, but hurry as this sale ends on the 29th of September. Why should you attend ESPC 22? Watch the video on our homepage to hear pre-event insights from Jeff Teeper, President of Collaborative Apps and Platforms at Microsoft. Check it out now at sharepointeurope.com. After the webinar, we will have a questions and answers session. Type any question you have in the questions window. Questions will be selected and answered at the end of the presentation. And now I'm going to pass you over to our presenter. Hello, Joel.
Hello, Orla. Thank you for the nice presentation there. Go ahead and share my screen. Bear with me a second. There we go. You should see that now, right?
Yep, I can see it now. Thank you.
Brilliant. So, as stated, my name is Joel. I'm the Manager of Training and Services at MindManager. Today's session will be regarding collaboration on Microsoft Teams with MindManager. We're expecting a duration of about 45 minutes, the target group. That's the ESPC community. This is really a teaser for what we are able to show you in our booth in the upcoming event. The material and recording will be shared. You can have a look in the GoToMeeting chat and you will already be able to access the presentation that I'm about to give you. Should you have any questions, please feel free to post them in the question pane in the GoToWebinar panel. And if you have questions after the webinar, if they are product related, meaning regarding usage and features, please send them to me, joel.abraham@mindmanager.com. And if you have questions regarding licenses, different versions of MindManager, which one should I pick, please go ahead and reach out to Sophia.perry@mindmanager.com, who is the regional sales manager for MindManager Nordics. The agenda for today, we're going to start out by having a look at where to find the MindManager app for Teams. We're going to discuss the account that you need in order to use it. We're going to have a demo of the MindManager Teams environment, creating new maps, working with the templates, really getting a better understanding of what the feature has to offer. I'm going to give you a brief function overview, and we're going to finish off with a Q&A in the end of the session. That said, find and install. So I'm not going to sit here and click through all these links and show you where to find stuff. I'm just going to underline that they are very easy to find. This presentation will be shared with you. You have it in the chat, as mentioned, but also in the follow-up email. So access the presentation and you will find information on additional info on the feature itself, the app stores, hardware requirements, and anything there is to know about the version itself. When it comes to the installation, that would be done by a Teams admin, of course. It's fairly straightforward. You go to the App Store, you will search for MindManager, and when you found it, you'll add it. If you have the rights to browse the App Store without being an admin, good for you. Then you can do this without the admin's permission. Otherwise, please reach out to your IT department and they will enable this feature for you or even roll it out to the entire company. The last thing you need to do is to create an account, either just a new free trial, or if you have your credentials, sign in or create a new account. And that's pretty much it. Pretty straightforward. Should you have any questions regarding these processes, you'll have the contact details here to us, either the support team or the sales team or myself, who would be your sales engineer helping out with hands-on questions for maps. When it comes to using MindManager, regardless if it's the desktop installation, MindManager for Teams or web or Chromebook, whatever version you're sitting on, you need an account. So if you're new to MindManager, I would recommend starting a 30-day free trial. You do that directly on mindmanager.com. Just Google for it and you'll find it. And when you have in your account, when you have installed your software on your PC or Mac, or you're logging on online or in Teams, you just use your credentials and sign in. We do support single sign-on SSO or integration with Azure ID if you have larger rollouts in your organization. So this is really to compare with any other software that you might be using. If it's Office 365 or Google or anything like that, you need your credentials to use the software. Now, here I have contact details to our support team and also the offering that I'll be looking at later in the presentation, but this is really if you would like to send our different offerings to a colleague. It's an attached file here, makes it easier for yourself. But with that said, we'll jump over to the function overview with MindManager for Teams. So for those of you not yet familiar with MindManager, MindManager is mind mapping software. That's our methodology, but we have developed from just being basic mind mapping into making it possible to do flow charts or swim lane diagrams or literally sky's the limit with MindManager, which is partially why it's so hard to pitch, because we can do anything pretty much. When we're looking at MindManager for Microsoft Teams, it's a way to allow anyone in your organization, even though they might not be an project manager or someone that needs to be deep diving into a project, to still be able to collaborate on any map that anyone allows them to access. They can even create their own maps, obviously. They can join co-editing sessions on existing or new maps. And you can also do that with external users that has their own MindManager license. It doesn't have to be in-house within your company. That said, we're going to jump into the demo. And I should underline, actually, that everything that I'm showing today is done in MindManager. I don't have any PowerPoints or any other softwares involved. So this entire presentation, if I zoom out, is actually built inside of one single canvas that I'm jumping through using links. Quite ingenious, right? That said, let's jump into MindManager for Teams. So before you get going, as mentioned, you need your Teams admin to permit the usage of MindManager. And when installed, you will have this little MindManager icon here on the left bar. The first thing you will see when you're clicking that icon will be the greeting page where we have all the templates for getting started with MindManager. And this also includes a learning session, an interactive tour. So if we use this as just something to get us going, this will take us through several steps at how to master MindManager in Teams. So it will just give you instructions on how to zoom. It will tell you that if you click here and you hit enter, you insert a new topic and you can just start typing like so. Hit enter again, or control enter gives a sub level. If you double tap, you will insert floating topics. If you have floating topics, those can then be dragged and dropped or organized, or multi-dragged if you have several, just to structure and organize your plans or brainstorming sessions or meeting plans or whiteboards or whatever you're using MindManager for. MindManager has a good set of icons and you can create any tags that you like, making MindManager act as you would see your status bar in Microsoft, for example, that you can have to do, doing, done, Kanban style, or you can tag with importance, or pretty much anything. Also, MindManager has a full set of resource capabilities so we can insert any resource, assign hourly or daily or weekly costs to them, and give you full calculations on how your resources have been used in your plans. Not going to run through the entire training session with you because it's on demand and sitting there waiting for when you install MindManager. What we're going to do is start by creating a new map. So let's return to the main page. Give me a second, exit without saving. So when you get going, and as the use cases for MindManager are so many, we have created a set of folders here helping you to get started. So let's say you would like to do project and task management. Here are some of those examples. You will just double click and those will open up. Or if you would like to do a flow chart, you have those examples here. Underlining for those of you who use, let's say, Microsoft Visio for project flow charts. I'm one of those who love Microsoft Visio, so I've used it a lot when I worked with databases and the more heavy lifting of flowcharts, but it's not really tailor fitted to help you in project management. So for project management purposes, you can import Visio flowcharts into MindManager and continue working with them here, because MindManager also allows you to drag and drop information, attached files, links, anything into your plans, and then sharing that to anyone that you like, either as a map or as a published map. Just having the only demand that the recipient has a browser and he can open your maps and click all the attachments, really making it easier to share information regarding compared to sending an email with 50 attachments. Here you just send one link to one map, and throughout the plan you will have all the attachments there. Well, let's look at classical mind mapping. If we take a standard radial map, the first thing we will see is a little guide on what's what in the map. This is the preview. We can choose to keep the information in the topics when we get started or start from scratch. Let's keep them for now so we have something to work with. Here's the clean map. Zooming in, we have, let's say, our website, blog post, and so on. Let's say that SharePoint will be a relevant part of the website infrastructure. I can then go to a SharePoint site. So I have a little map here with some files in that I would like people to have quick access to. Okay, then just drag that link and attach it into that topic in the map. Pretend that that just worked. It should. I don't know why it doesn't. Let's call that the demo bug, but just know that that should work. The same thing should go. Now, most likely this doesn't work either, but if you go for a local file, you could take a PowerPoint, drag and drop that into a file or into a topic. That worked. It's always something. 50% success, right? But regardless of if you're in Teams, if you're on the Windows install or Mac or whatever you are, you can always drag and drop information. I'll do that later on and show you that it literally works. That's it. Now, as we were on SharePoint, let me open up that again, because as I'm sure most of you are aware, Teams storage media is SharePoint. So whatever information that you will find in your file explorer in Teams sits in SharePoint, right? MindManager has a possibility to install an app from our SharePoint store into SharePoint, allowing SharePoint the possibility of rendering or reading maps for non-MindManager users on SharePoint. So let's say I'm a user that doesn't have access to MindManager. I'm coming in here to this folder. I want to watch the project number 1. I'll click the 3 dots. When the MindManager add-in has been installed, SharePoint will detect that this is a MindManager file. That is literally the feature that that app brings, and we can then view it in a browser. So now, without being a user or having a license, just having access to that SharePoint site, I can view this project plan from SharePoint directly. So that's the first benefit. Now, the second thing you can do is open in MindManager. Now, what this will do is open up MindManager for Windows. It will just download the file. And the cool thing here is that the file will automatically be enabled for co-editing. Now, what I would like to show you here, I'll put this to the side. I'll put the Windows to the side. There we go. And open up Teams on the other. Now, if I'm on a Teams channel and have the need to inform colleagues of whatever projects that I'm working on, or let's say we have a Monday morning meeting where this project 1 will be discussed. I have now created a folder inside of this tab where I have these project maps from SharePoint. So it's exactly the SharePoint site. I'll just click project 1, and this will now launch in Teams. So as you can see up here, we have 2 participants. It's Joel and myself. This works when you have 2 licenses. So I wouldn't be able to do this with myself without having 2 licenses. But you can also see now that the co-editing session is ongoing. If I go down here on task 3.2, hit enter, insert a new topic, and call this, what should it be then? P1 task 3.3. That will then automatically or directly be synced with my Windows colleague who is participating in this session. So that's really how easy it is. You simply only need to open up a map and the co-editing session is ongoing. And when looking at MindManager for Teams, which is the focus for today, there are a lot of information that you can insert into maps. We have priorities, we have progress, we have costs for our resources. There are actually a lot of more information in here that I've just chosen to hide. If I go up here to files, was actually the wrong tab. Let's go back. Should have been the MindManager file tab. Pretend I clicked the right thing. Here we go, back to the map. I should go up to the MindManager menu, File. Here we have all the settings options. And if we look at general settings, here I can choose information that I want to have displayed in the map that already exists. I want start date, due date, years, duration, resources, effort, notes preview maybe. Yeah, and just push that in. Now you see that we have the start and due date, everything is in here. We can see the resources that have been inserted. I forgot to unhide those. And if I want additional information into this one, I can just write an @ sign, a name, the resource is inserted already. If I now insert the start date and due date, go up here and say that this is from today until tomorrow, then we'll automatically get the cost for this task because Joel is inserted. Joel has an hourly rate from this date until that date, 2 work days. Okay, the cost will be $16.80 for that task. Costs for tasks are also rolled up into project central topics of the project if you would like to. Good. Let's say that you're working on a project where you need to share information with externals, or you have a project team that would like to inherit some information from your very successful phase number 1. Then MindManager has a built-in feature called MindManager Snap. It acts pretty much like a mailbox for map content. So you can have your own snap queue, your own inbox, but you can also create team queues. So if we have a project team here, and I would like to share phase 1 with the project team, I'll simply drag it out, hold it above project team, and drop it. And now that map has been, or this part of the map has been sent off. So if another user, let's say using Windows, creates a new map, goes to the snap queue, opens up the project team, he will have the phase 1 here. Can drag that up into the map and just continue working. So the phase 1 is already completed, and then continue working on phase 2. Maybe structuring this so it looks similar to the other map, like so. So quite ingenious way of sending information across between users or between maps. Good, let's jump back into Teams. Now, I showed you how to look or how to use the MindManager templates, the big library. I showed you how to find maps in SharePoint and how to open those up in Windows. But one thing that might be worth mentioning, when working on larger projects, it can be really handy to have a folder on your browser where you've saved links to maps. So I have the SharePoint site here, but I also have links to co-editing sessions, because when I'm in Teams, let's say we open this map again, and I would like to invite someone else to this map. I simply click the co-editing icon here and share link. Or I can also go from here, invite to co-edit. So there are multiple ways of finding the same thing. But when we click here and share link, it says that it's copied. I'll send it off to someone and they click it in their email. I'll paste it in here. Then they will get the question, how would you like to join the co-editing session? Should it be on the web browser? Should it be desktop or in Microsoft Teams? So if they pick either of these, that's the platform that will be open. So let's go for desktop, open 22. So you're not tied to any of these platforms to co-edit with anyone else. You could even start a co-editing session on Microsoft Teams and then say, well, I would actually need to jump over to Windows because I have a couple of more features in the Windows platform that I have on Teams, and jump back and forth. That's really seamless. So it's really cool. Good. Then when you have created a project map such as this one, and if you would like to integrate that into tabs here in Teams, all you have to do is click the plus sign, choose the MindManager icon, and then find that map or the folder that you would like to post up here in the quick access menu. Don't need to do that now, it seems to be a bit laggy. Not harder than that. Another cool thing, when you have maps, you're able to publish them. So regardless if it's on Teams or in Windows, you can go to the publish functionality, start new publish. This will generate a web link to this map. This link, if I were to post it here in the GoToWebinar chat, anyone can access this map. You can password protect them, obviously, but the standard setting, like here, if I just insert the link and access it, I will open up the project plan. I have all the descriptions for my project, all the attached files, links, whatever is in here is just ready to be used. It is read-only, but as you can send across information seamlessly and without 100 attachments in several emails, this is really golden way of getting your information out there. Another value add is that what happens if you send an email with attachments and 3 days later you make updates? Well, if it's not linked to SharePoint site, which they have access to, you need to send a new email with new attachments. When it comes to published maps, if I would go back to this map and say, well, we'll do some changes here. I'll change the fill color to pink reddish, something like that. Then the cloud up here says that changes have been done since last published, and I'll just publish the updates. That will just push out the latest version to your link, and now you will inform your customers, clients, or colleagues that we've done changes. Just refresh the link and you will have the latest version with the latest attachments there. So you can have one link for your entire plan, regardless if it's planning a wedding, a project, or your next bar mitzvah. I don't know. Good. Now let's jump over to Teams again. If you have colleagues in Teams that does not have MindManager for Teams, they don't really need it. They don't need to collaborate on maps, but they would love to see the information that you just created in the map. We can use the link that we just sent out in an email to a colleague. Instead of using the MindManager app, we would go for the website here. We call this our plan 1, and we'll insert that published link. Don't need to post about that and just say save. Here we go. So now whenever anyone clicks on plan 1 up here, they will get a read-only version of your map. They will have all the links, all the attachments at their grab. So it's really seamless and a really easy way of getting your information across. And they also have the filter options. If they want to zoom in on all the priority ones in your plan, what's that all about? Have a look. Okay, that's start due date, blah, blah. And now you might say, well, why hide information? Well, with MindManager, you shouldn't be relying on always having the latest way of presenting. Let's say like this. Tomorrow morning, I'm going to meet the CEO of my company. I'm going to present the project plan to him or her. And 5 minutes after leaving that meeting, I run into another product manager in the corridor, and he wants to see my project plan with all the details. There is no way that I would show all the information the product manager is interested in to my CEO. And there is no way that my product manager will be pleased if I only share what I just showed the CEO to my product manager. With most softwares, you need to build 2 presentations for that. With MindManager, you simply adapt what information we show. So looking at the View tab, Show and Hide, I can just go in here and say, show me all the info that's in the map. There are so many capabilities of fine-tuning information and showing what needs to be shown to whom. And when coming to the CEO, well, in the end of the day, the only thing he will be really interested in or might be interested in could be what and the cost of it. So let's take everything out except for, well, let's do like, yeah, we'll take everything. Just clean it up, apply, and he say, well, Joel, how much is it then? Well, then I'll just go and insert cost as well. So you can really tune your maps to show exactly what's needed to be shown. And if anyone has questions regarding the Gantt, well, you have the image here, so you can show them the Gantt. It's no problem. Nothing is disappearing, it's just hidden. That's the beauty of MindManager. Always adapt your information depending on the audience. Good. Okay, let's jump back into the presentation. What I've attached here as well, for those of you who access the presentation afterwards, is an instruction for literally running maps or using maps in Microsoft Teams. So showing you all the steps that I've done today, clicking the plus sign, choosing the MindManager icon, and so on, just in order to get going. So have a look through this presentation or this guide, and it shouldn't be very hard to get going using MindManager. Good. Now to the important part. MindManager comes in a lot of different shapes and sizes. The 3 versions that are relevant for today's webinar, meaning when you can work with MindManager on Microsoft Teams, is the MindManager for Microsoft Teams version that only allows you to work with MindManager on Teams. That's it. You can use the Go app, meaning view your maps on the mobile device and snap information and so on to yourself. You can co-edit, you can publish map, and you can do personal snaps. The next step, that would be the professional version. This is the version that I would recommend to full user or a small company with only up to 4 users, because this is pretty much all you can have minus the enterprise readiness. If you have 5 or more users, it would make sense to jump to enterprise because this gives you group discounts for your licenses. Other than that, these 2 are more or less the same. Here you have MindManager for all our platforms, meaning you as a user can have MindManager installed on your Windows machine. You can have it installed on your Mac. You can access it on your browser or in Teams or on your Chromebook. Everything is literally open here. Feature-wise, you got it all. There's nothing that we haven't pushed into the enterprise version. So all the collaboration features, you have the readers for SharePoint as well. You have readers for Windows and Mac and web, and all of them have readers. So your company, let's say you are 5,000 employees, but only 250 of those would need the full version of MindManager. But you might have an additional 1,000 users that would benefit from being able to open and view maps, and it might not always be practical to only have the SharePoint Reader app installed, because what if someone emails you a mind map? Then this also comes with free readers for Windows, Mac, and all the platforms. That's a benefit. Both professional and enterprise has the team snap, meaning you can snap information from a map to anyone else that you have added to a snap queue. You have a license admin server that allows your license admin to monitor the usage, activate, deactivate, and really work the license pool. And SSO support, so there's no need to create 250 different user accounts. You can just hook it up against Azure ID or whatever. If you have a mobile phone at hand, I would recommend scanning this QR code. It will come later in the presentation as well. this gives you a 60-day free enterprise trial of MindManager. The standard trial of MindManager is for a single license for 30 days. So this is a good one. Obviously, when you receive this link, you can, or when you receive the follow-up email, you can access it from there as well. So no rush. When you go there, it's important, or when you use the link, it's important to choose the right settings here. If you just want the free trial, if it's for multi-user settings, and whatever it is, if you're for educational or governmental use, that affects the pricing that you will be offered after the trial. Good. That's it. Let's jump to some general information, because this is a very important part for us. So I mentioned it in the beginning, I'm the manager of training and services. What that means that I am the knowledge guy. I don't know much about pricing. I don't know much about offers, but I know everything there is to know about the software as such. And I'm an on-demand resource for all our users. So if you have an enterprise contract, you can have sessions with me, Q&A sessions or workshops where I literally teach all users whatever use case they would like to master with MindManager. We know that that can be time consuming, and some companies don't really find that the #1 priority. That's why we'll also have monthly webinars. We call them Meet the Experts. So each month we pick a focus topic that we cover in a 1-hour webinar, running through how we would do it on our end and recommending different smart tips and tricks in regards of that. And in the end, that's always followed up with a 15-minute Q&A where we cover whatever question you can throw at us. Those webinars are done, well, I'm doing the English one for EMEA. There's one English version for the American market. There's one French for the French market, and there's a German for the German-speaking part of the market. So that's the width of the Meet the Experts. I would recommend signing up for that if you're the least curious about processes and diagrams with MindManager, which is our focus topic on the 6th of October. I also included our webinar calendar here, where you can sign up for whatever future webinar that you're interested in. And if you see a webinar that we have done already that you think looked awesome, or this description really clicked, don't worry, the recording will be in here together with all the material that we used in the presentation, because that's really something we always do. If you attend a webinar with MindManager, you will get the information that we present. You will get the examples that we show. Everything is shared. So that's really cool. We have a great channel on YouTube and Vimeo with a lot of training material, educational webinars, inspirational webinars, you name it. Our blog is packed with a lot of ideas, information, and upcoming events. So don't miss out on that one. And our user community is always on fire with brilliant ideas for developing or how to do or whatnot. The user community, I can't recommend that enough. It's our ear towards the ground on where to go with MindManager. Finally, our Starter Academy. This is a 5-session free of use tutorial training for MindManager. Same thing here. We hand out all the material used in the training sessions. And if you do these 5 tutorials without being able to apply to my position here, I would be surprised, because this is covering it all. Works for a new user. It works for someone that's used MindManager since the 90s. This is really top of the line. Good. Well, that was quicker than expected, but let's see if we have any questions that's come in, and we'll address them.
Thanks so much, Joel. As Joel said, it's time for questions. I do have a few that have come in, and we can ask those, but if you have a question, there's time to pop it into the question window and let us know. So the first question is, what's the difference between a published map and a HTML export?
Well, technology-wise, there's nothing really that differs them. If I'll just take any map, this map, I'll save it somewhere and show you the different options. We'll just save that. An HTML5 export, that's coming here at the export part. It literally gives you an HTML5 version of this map, allowing you to email this map to anyone that doesn't have MindManager. You can send it to someone that has MindManager as well, but this map can be opened just via the browser from your local storage, and displays all the stuff that you had in that map, and it comes with the filter capabilities. Now, a published map has the same feature set. The difference is that if I go to Home and publish this map, this gives me a link to the map itself. I can also embed it or post it on social medias, and I can apply password, insert logos when you load the map and so on. So if I just go and paste this into my browser, new window, this will open the same map, but the difference is that this is not a static file. So if I were to do a change like I showed earlier, change the fill color of this topic and then refresh the published link, this will be updated, whilst the HTML5 export is static. You need to do a new export. So think of the HTML5 export as a PDF or print to PDF. It's just static, how it looked on that day and time.
Perfect. Thank you. The next question is, could you have a mixed contract with professional and MindManager teams licenses?
Definitely. Very good question, actually. That's been one of the thoughts behind it, actually. Let's say you have the 250 product workers that I mentioned earlier, but apart from having a lot of people who would like to just view information as viewers only, you might have 100 colleagues that don't need to build the heavy lifting or the really cool maps with all the heavy features. They need to go in on the Monday morning meeting and just collaborate on the co-editing session or create smaller plans, and that doesn't acquire smart rules and calculations and formulas, just standard mind mapping. Then they could go for a Teams license. Don't quote me on this, but I think this is about 99 euros per year for these licenses. So they're fairly cheap and a brilliant way of just contributing with a larger enterprise team. It wouldn't really make sense to combine these two, professional and enterprise, because they're more or less the same. Just enterprise has all the features, whilst the professional doesn't. And professional doesn't have any discount the more they are or the greater they are. So that would be enterprise combining with teams. You could combine professional and teams as well, but as soon as you get to more than 4 professional licenses, it would make sense to jump to enterprise.
Perfect. Can you please send us a program needed to use MindManager with SharePoint?
Yes, sure. It's actually in the presentation already. So when looking at the offering page, here's a link. When clicking this link, it brings you to our download page, and in the bottom, you will have the SharePoint readers here. But I'll make sure to follow up on that question and send them in a separate email as well.
Sure. Can I co-edit with people outside of my organization? And if so, do they need a license?
Yes, you can, and yes, they do. That's the quick answer on that one. Anyone participating in a co-editing session needs any of these 3 license types. So if you have a colleague elsewhere that works for a company that has MindManager Enterprise already, you just need to make sure that the storage place where that map sits is granted access or has granted access for anyone participating in that co-editing session. So it really comes down to where the map is stored, that if it's on a SharePoint site, that all participants has been invited to access files on that folder, and that everyone has MindManager licenses. A workaround for this, if you have a company that's working with an external consultant that certainly will not acquire a license just to contribute, well, you can assign him one of your seats if you like. That would be one way of taking that. You take one for the team. But yeah, everyone needs a license.
Okay, thanks, Joe. Okay, after opening a file on Teams, can you co-edit that file outside the Teams window, for example, directly from the MindManager desktop app?
Sure, you can. So if we look at this file here, no, that's a view file only. Let's go and open the maps we were online with earlier. The first thing, if we just create a new map, the only thing you need to do to co-edit, first off, is just to save it. That's it. You save it on SharePoint, OneDrive, Google Drive, Dropbox, or whatever. But when the map is open, and if you feel that you would like to jump out of the platform, you have here open in browser. That will just jump out to my Chrome browser on my end anyway. your default browser is what it will be. And that will pause the co-editing session on Teams, and then you can continue working here. You also have the option to go to File, yes, File, and open in Desktop app. You could have done that from Teams as well. So you can jump between any of the 3 platforms. Just take a pick.
Thank you. When sending a branch from a map to SnapQueue, can I add an explanatory comment for recipients?
That is a good one. I actually got that on my last webinar as well. So let me explain what the question is all about. Let's go from scratch and just delete that one and open a new map. So the question is, if I have a branch here that I would like to send to the team, and I use the snap functionality, meaning I drag and drop this information into any of the teams, can I insert an explanatory comment or something? There is no separate explanations or notes that you can add to the snap itself, but what we tend to do is either insert a call out or insert a topic note, for example. So if I have, let's say, this topic out here, and I insert a call out and I say, please use this ASAP. Good. Did I spell that correctly? No, it's one extra S. Close enough. Don't click, come on. And I'll send that off into my snap queue, for example. Then I'll have that here, floating topic. That's the name of the topic, and I'll just drag that in, and I will have the same. What you could do as well is insert a topic note. That would be the way I would do it, actually. So if you look out here in the menu, you will have a topic note and very important info. Please follow. Something like that. Close that. There's the topic note with all that information. And we call this task 1, 2, 3. If I now go to the Teams or the Snap queue, drag it in, and I'll send it to, come on. Don't know what happened there, too quick. I'll send it to the project queue. And if I then later on my Windows map, open this map, I go to the Snap and the project queue, task 1, 2, 3 is here. I'll drag that in. I have please use as soon as possible, and topic notes, very important, please follow. So yeah, there are multiple ways of giving instructions. It will just not be associated with the snap itself. It will be sitting inside of the topic.
Thanks, Joel. It looks like there's one more question here. Please, could you describe the reader functions a bit more?
Yes, sure. So there are several readers. There's literally a reader per platform. If we look at the MindManager MindManager reader, I'll open it up here so I can show it to you. Which screen does it open up on? Give me one sec. Here we go. Here's the reader. So the reader for Windows is exactly what it sounds like. It's a reader where you can go and fetch files from local storage or add any cloud storage and just browse a file and open it up in a read-only view. I'll take this delete. It's something brilliant, I'm sure. There you go. So here's a map. I have the attachments here. Attachments can be opened directly, and well, if it would still exist, I'd most likely deleted that. But yes, the reader for Windows is the same as it is for Mac, Chrome, Web, and Teams. It's a way of just reading files, and that comes with the enterprise package.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Looks like that's all the questions we have, Joel. Thanks so much for taking the time today. We really appreciate it.
Brilliant. Well, thank you. And to all of you online, hoping to see you in the MindManager booth at the upcoming event. And please feel free to scan the 60-day trial here as well and start using MindManager. And I'll take all your questions in the booth.
That's great. Thanks a million again, Joel, and thanks everybody for joining us. That is the end of today's webinar. As usual, we will be recording this, or we are recording this, and it will be added to the resource centre, and I will let you know by email when it's available, and I will share the resources that Joel shared with us as well. Thanks again, and goodbye.
Thank you.